Hi everyone, today we're going to look at different types of metabolism and see how enzymes can be used in order to aid these processes. First, we're going to look into the definition of metabolism. Now in IGCSE biology, we may have defined metabolic reactions as any reactions that occur inside the cell. However, as we move on to IB, metabolism redefines itself in a more specific manner, and so it is defined as the sum of all enzyme-catalyzed chemical reactions that occur inside the cell. Now, we can classify metabolism into two different types of reactions. First, we have catabolism, and second, we have anabolism. Now, first, catabolism is essentially breaking down complex or large molecules into much more smaller and simpler molecules. So it's essentially the breakdown of complex, larger molecules into smaller, more simpler molecules. Now, an example of reaction of catabolism would be hydrolysis, because in hydrolysis we're using water to break down different molecules into much more smaller pieces. Now, second, in anabolism, we're essentially doing the opposite of catabolism. So we're combining smaller molecules in order to form much more larger, bigger molecules. So this is going from smaller molecules to larger molecules. Now, as I've said, we have different types of enzymes that aid these processes. Now, in terms of catabolic enzymes, what they're going to do is they're essentially going to break down a larger substrate into much more smaller compound products. So the substrate in catabolic enzymes is going to be larger, and the product is going to be smaller. It's going to be vice versa for anabolism. By the way, a case of anabolic reactions would be condensation, which is the opposite of hydrolysis, wherein we kind of remove water in order to make larger molecules from much more smaller molecules. And right, that is pretty much the end of metabolism. In our next video, we will be exploring different types of enzymes, different types of models that substantiate the working mechanisms of enzymes.